Hi everyone. We've had quite a wet week, lots of rain all over and puddles all over the school. I thought we'd read a Postman Pat book about a wet day, just to share with you. This is Postman Pat's Wet Day. It was a wet day, a very wet day. Pat said, "Oh, rain again. I must put on my wellies." Jess sat by the fire. He did not like the rain. "Come on," said Pat. "We have to take the letters. Never mind the rain. We have a nice new van." Jess did not want to go away from the fire. Pat put on his wellies, then he put on his raincoat. He picked up Jess. Jess still did not want to go. Pat said, "Come on, Jess. You can go in my coat. It's warm and dry." Pat held Jess inside his coat. Jess looked at the rain, but he did not like it. Pat ran to his van. Jess had a basket in the van. He went in his basket and shut his eyes. He did not want to see the rain. Pat drove his van along the valley. There was a lot of rain and there was a lot of mud. Splash, splash went the van. Pat saw Sam. "Hello, Sam. What a wet day." Sam said, "Hello, Pat. I like your new van. It's very smart. How's Jess?" Pat said, "Jess is in his basket. He doesn't like the rain. I think he's asleep." Sam said, "I hate the rain too. It must be nice to be a cat." Pat said, "Here's a letter for you, Sam. I hope it's something good. See you. Cheerio." Pat was on his way. Then he saw Peter Fogg. Peter was on his tractor. The tractor was all muddy, and so was Peter. He had mud on his pants, mud on his shirt, and mud all over his face. Look at him. Pat said, "What have you been doing?" Peter said, "Oh, it's this rain. I fell in the mud. I am off home for a hot bath." Pat said, "That's a good idea. But before you go, here's a letter for you. It's from your girlfriend. That should cheer you up." "Great," said Peter. "Oh, this rain. I'm fed up with it. Cheerio." Pat was on his way. He had a letter for Granny Dryden. He went to her house. "Hello, Mrs. Dryden. There's a letter for you today." Granny Dryden said, "Lovely. I like letters." She opened the letter, read it quickly, then looked out of the window. "Just look at my washing," she said. "I left it out to dry and now look at it. All wet." Pat helped Granny Dryden to get the washing in. They put it by the fire to dry. Granny Dryden said, "Will you have a cup of tea before you go? And if Jess is with you, perhaps you'd like some milk." Pat said, "Lovely. Yes, please." Pat went on his way. He went to Thompson Ground. He had a letter for Alf and 2 letters for Dorothy. The rain had made a pond in the field and the ducks were swimming in it. Jess looked out at the ducks. Pat said, "Your ducks like the rain. I wish I did." Alf smiled. He said, "Look at Jess. He thinks my ducks are mad playing in the rain. Come on, Jess. Are you coming out for a swim?" But Jess would not come out. He did not like the water. He went back to his basket and went to sleep. "Cheerio," said Pat. Pat was on his way. Pat called on Ted. He had a parcel for him. "Good," said Ted. "That'll be the parts for Granny Dryden's clock. Now I can mend it." Pat said, "How do you like this rain?" Ted said, "I don't mind the rain. I have a lot of jobs to do. I'm too busy to bother about the rain." Pat said, "Do you like my new van?" "Lovely," said Ted, "but it's all muddy. Hang on, I'll get my hose and wash it down." Pat said, "Your hose? In all this rain?" "Yes," said Ted. "No bother. Hang on." Ted got out his hose and washed Pat's van. He washed all the mud off. "Thanks," said Pat. "It looks new again. Thanks a lot." "No bother," said Ted. "Cheerio," said Pat. Pat was on his way. Pat said, "Time to go home, Jess. Time for tea." Jess was glad. "The rain stopped," said Pat. It had. It was fine again. Jess jumped out of the van. He ran around the puddles and into the house. He sat by the fire. He had a wash and a dish of fish. It was nice to be home.